I'm alive. I am. I can't help it but to think of that movie. I'm alive, or Johnny Five Alive, which ages me a bit. Yes, this is Dr. Mia Lueth. It is 10:53 a.m. Eastern Time, New York, USA. It's January 24th, 2026. And it is a Winnipeg Jets game day. Games at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And so basically, this is about sports, but I talk about myself sometimes, and I talk about other things, and I mention things because I've just I I love ice hockey. I mean, I just love ice hockey, and so from that, everything kind of like follows from that. So me, it's it's very difficult for me to get pessimistic about any particular hockey season. And considering how much hockey I've watched in my life, and the differences between markets, and some differences between maybe you know Canada and the US, and right, all that. Uh, I I'm just gonna keep saying, yeah, Commander Tank, and all you tanks for the memories and all that. Listen, and there's a couple goalie friends that I've run across. I always enjoy running across goalies online. Um, it's sort of like kindred spirits, but I don't always agree with certain things. And when it comes to the Winnipeg Jets, I mean, I'm just being honest and saying, quite literally, any of you out there who are, you know, seriously, in seriousness, want the Winnipeg Jets to play poorly and lose games, okay, well, that's not an acceptable strategy in the National Hockey League. And if there are clubs that have actually done that, okay, and there are people who can prove it, then those clubs should, right, if they've won Stanley Cups, should have their entire freaking club erased from the Stanley Cup. Okay, it's like there's some seriousness that needs to happen here. You understand? That is not a viable ice hockey strategy. Now, some of it's just from fans or press or whatever. That's fine, but franchises who even attempt to do that these days, not only will they get caught, but they could lose their franchise, and that does not help the future of any franchise. Now, does it? Okay, I understand some of it's just for fun. I understand some of it's just fan frustration. You need to get it out. You're not right. But point blank, I'm not even going to make a joke about it. And that's also completely disrespectful to the people who play for the Winnipeg Jets right now, and some of the Moose, and some of the staff, and some of the, right. Here's the term that I use, and I repeat myself just to kind of like, so you know where I'm coming from. The term that I use for like management, like ownership and management, is, I call that the upper decks. Okay, it, you know, there should be no actual real general managers in the National Hockey League of clubs who second guess anything, because that's totally not productive, and that certainly isn't something that you know inspires confidence. And new information comes to light every single day. Okay, so when a GM makes a decision based on all the information that GMs have, okay, it's not, they're not mistakes. See, a lot of you just think a lot is just a mistake. It's not. No, it's not. It's what happens in any given hockey day on earth, especially in pro, right, National Hockey League over here in North America style. Okay, so I'm not really sure. Like I have to say this. Um, the one thing I think that the upper decks could have done, just because this is an Olympic year, and there are some newer fans and those kind of newer who may not have experienced an Olympic year with a franchise before. Okay, so it always looks a little different, and there are decisions and things that get made and handled. They're a little different in an Olympic year, and it affects the entire league, not just one franchise. Okay, these things happen. So those who aren't used to it, some of this is because it is a Winter Olympic year. Okay, but you know, I I've seen chatter. Some I'm not trying to like argue or say right or wrong. However, what I'm saying is the one thing, if I were GM of the Winnipeg Jets, and I'm not trying to say any different, of course, the GM would be privy to a bunch of information that no one else is, and that includes the well-connected press, who I appreciate, and fans who are nerdies and they pay attention and they're all up in the Jetsness of it. I would have at some point put out some kind of statement to say, in an Olympic year, yep, we're definitely, the team is slumping. They're doing it together. I mean, they're still all team all the time. Okay. And they're going to win as a team, they're going to lose as a team. And so, no player is completely responsible for a loss, and no player is completely responsible for a win. And the players do include, yes, the goalies. Maybe a statement to say, just for reassurance sake, we are assessing, say something truthful, like we are assessing the moose every day. We're always, looking, we're always open for conversation. And that is something that Mike McIntyre had done. A brief interview ran across some Chevy along the way, during regular season. And, Mr. Shovel-Dayoff was just being straight honest and truthful. And if some of you don't like that, get over it. Just get over it. Okay? None of us as fans, none of the press, none of the chatters on Winnipeg Sports Talk, which I like chatting. I like, it's fun. And other places, okay, where there's, or bloggers or anything, have the kind of information that Mr. Shovel-Dayoff does. So, it might have helped to put out a statement just to reassure everyone that, of course, there's a plan. And, I'm actually proud of the team, the players, for just sticking with it together. Okay, and the offense kind of slumped, but they slumped together, At least they're doing a team style, which is how you win playoffs, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Maybe would have put out, a brief statement to say, I can assure you, we are always looking. Yes, GMs in the National Hockey League are always looking. And the staff are always looking. Okay. So the National Hockey League is a 24/7, 365 organization. It's you see what I'm saying? It's 24/7, it's 365. Okay? And there's always scouting. There's always information coming into the GM's office. There's always, looking at the plan, looking at the vision. But in the National Hockey League, as a franchise, you do have to know how to adjust at speed on the fly with the league. And so that is what Mr. Cheveldayoff did last summer. We have players that have a great deal of promise and potential. Okay. And they're on the Moose, which is the AHL affiliate. They are being developed. Okay. I mean, I have seen some comments, especially Winnipeg Sports Talk. It's well, they do talk a lot about Jets hockey. They have the Sunday version, and they have it's 1 o'clock Central, 2 for me in Eastern, and there are people, commenters and chatters. It's just like, what okay, I don't think you have any of the proper information or understanding to assess. And why are you saying they don't develop players? Of course they do. Connor Hellebuck, Art Shifley, okay, Stanimal. I mean, look at Stanimal, everybody. See what I'm saying? So he's getting his chances, and he's using those opportunities. And it may have taken a little while, but I mean, he's definitely an asset. Perfetti, okay, like point blank. Their guys, Lambeau, Ford. I mean, right? They just weren't ready in the summer. So Mr. Cheveldayoff did what any good general manager would do, and looked to find pieces that would fit with the core that he knew he was going to eventually sign, which he did. And a lot of people were very excited about that. We got Kyle Connor signed with, Adam Lowry, our captain. Right. We have our core. Okay. So I'm also going to mention age. Like, some of you just don't have the numbers or the information to back up what you were saying. Okay. Like, I've run across some people, and I'll say, okay, well, the hockey writers at one point did, do the numbers, go through all of it, and in the last 10 years, okay, the average age of the players who have won Stanley Cups teams is 28.5, so 28 and a half years old. Well, that does mean there's people over 30. Players will play to the age of 40, sometimes 41, sometimes 42, sometimes 38, depending on their life, depending on injuries, depending on a lot of factors. Okay. And there are plenty of people over 30 in the National Hockey League. Okay. You can ignore them all you want, but they're not going away. And they factor big time. What I was trying to kind of like put forth when I mentioned things is I'm still pretty sick. I had terrible pneumonia. I got shots, but apparently the flu A is something ridiculous and weaken immune system, and I'm I have medical conditions cause me issue, but I it's just I want to get these things out, and I want to say them, and I want to make sure they've been said and put out into the public, because I just know it's not a negative thing, given my health and other kind of things. I'm probably not going to make it to the age of 70, and I'm not worried about that. Okay, like I kind of have to go year by year. It's okay. I mean, you got to go sometime, right? Not, I mean, barring any, super miracle, right? I just know I'm like, if you're a golfer, I'm on the back nine. Okay, I mean, okay, big deal, right? But that's another reason why I am so adamant about the whole quality of life situation going on with me and certain decisions that I make. But I want to get this stuff out because it needs to be heard. I'm real and true, just giving you actual facts that aren't disputable. Okay, so the Jets can develop players fine. I don't care. A lot of you are like, "Oh, we're not getting better." I'm just like, that's just out of desperation. I mean, are you guys actually fans of the Winnipeg Jets, or are you just pretending to be fans of the Winnipeg Jets because you want them to tank? Okay, like nowadays, if the Jets came in last place, 32nd place, they might get a high draft pick. Okay, they might get right. They might be able to, but that doesn't guarantee anything in the National Hockey League. Go ask Connor McDavid. Okay, like yes, the Oilers went through that phase. I was rooting for them quietly. They went through that phase. Yes, I watched the rebuild. From like it was like 2008, 9, 10 started. Yeah, and then they got Connor McDavid, which of course I did jump on my hockey blog and pretty much like, yeah, get eyeballs on this one, goalies. He's gonna be a problem, okay? like, yeah, he's gonna be a problem, goalies. I'm trying to like, right. And then Ryan Nugent Hopkins, and they built, and then they started, but things happen, man. Injuries, an off year, a year where some team in your division just has put the time and work and effort in, and they're just blowing by people. Okay, because I remember when Colorado also was down there, second to last place, in the bottom mix there. But look at them now. Okay, I just fundamentally disagree with a lot of things. And I definitely have to say that I don't think that a lot of you actually really have the know-how or skills to make any kind of comments about the Winnipeg Jets and development. It's just not true. There's no evidence of it at all. Okay, Perfetti. I mean, it's still in development a little bit, but look at Perfetti. He's catching on. He's catching on quick. And I think for some of that, Jonathan Tate, when it comes to that, I think that there was a little bit of time where Jonathan Tate was trying to set other guys up to score. And those other guys were trying to set Jonathan Tate up to score. And you see what I'm saying? So, like on that line, don't mess with my second line. Right? It's like, okay, well, puck off. It's not like a bad thing. Like, okay, well, if you see it and you're feeling it, do it. Okay. Now it's just like, well, whatever. Shoot a little more. Just shoot a little more. Okay. So the team is like getting kind of the lines a little more, balanced, and where guys fit in, and how they can, help the team and so on and so forth. Right? Um, but some people, they're not improving. They're not improving. But you don't understand the ice hockey. You may understand numbers and analytics, but you do not understand National Hockey League ice hockey. And it's very clear, some of you, that you don't. And numbers do lie. Because I can twist statistics all around every which direction. I know how to do it. And if I know how to do it, so does everybody else. Okay? It's like, yeah, T. Will, I don't know. I'm mentioning some names as sometimes I don't get a chance to like say what I want to say on some of the chats, which I really enjoy. Um, Even if it's, a little tenuous and maybe we don't always agree. But the fact of the matter is, the Moose is the other good thing. But, it goes along with the Winnipeg Jets is that, yes, your AHL team is very close by. Okay, there's franchises whose AHL team is like miles and miles and miles and miles and miles away. So there's that. Like they're close. Mr. Cheveldayoff was not lying. He was being honest. He said point blank, there was the hope that maybe some of the guys on the Moose would be ready last summer. But okay, maybe not. So he did the proper, GM kind of thing with the rest of the staff, and they adjusted and they filled in some spots, to accentuate the core. I mean, yes, some of you just ageist. I mean, no, you're not racist, but you're ageist. And I don't agree with you. And I don't care. You can say it a million times over. I mean, just keep saying the same thing over again. Insert the core. I mean, do you have any idea? Right? But they can't just move somebody from the Moose up there whenever they fucking feel like it because there's roster spots. And those roster spots have to be open. And maybe some of these guys in the Moose aren't quite ready yet. They might be physically, maybe. Mentally, maybe. Maybe they're ready mentally, but not quite ready physically. Maybe they're mentally, physically, but not quite. You understand? A certain readiness doesn't just have to do with skill and what they can do on ice either. So I just fundamentally disagree with a lot, including some of the press and the people who do a lot of talking about Winnipeg Jets ice hockey. But there is evidence. Okay, Perfetti's picking up. And so the game is starting to slow down for him. Okay, that's a good sign. Jonathan Toews, he is kind of a back end of the season kind of player, which, by the way, you would all know that if you spent a little time trying to talk to some Blackhawks fans. Because, like I said previously in one of these, when Jonathan Toews got to the Blackhawks, right, they were struggling. That was, yes, they were definitely really going through it. Hadn't seen playoffs in a while, all kinds of stuff, you understand? But that changed. Okay, so Jonathan Toews has been through various, stages of, growth, which ebbs and flows in the National Hockey League. But basically, the Hawks fans, like, it was like 46 years or something in between cups, or I don't know, you know what I'm saying? It was 45 for, right? You understand? Okay, like, you gotta let some stuff go if you want to continue, being a fan. If you want to continue, what I'm saying to you is some of what you're thinking and saying does not even apply. And the way some of the press have looked at it, it's like, well, there's parts and pieces you're missing because you are not in the hockey operations day-to-day conversations. And Perfetti was definitely putting forth an effort. But I'll be honest and say, when it came right down to it, if the coaching, if the leadership and coaching, if it came down to it, I'm sure that the coaches would actually sit Jonathan Toews if it really needed that, or Perfetti. It didn't need to happen. Okay, I mean, a lot of you're looking at other clubs, like Vegas. They're not afraid to say, and it's just like, okay, but we're not Vegas. We're the Winnipeg Jets. And this Jets ice hockey. And there's a certain mentality and there's a certain vision. Okay. Mr. Shoveldaff, the upper decks do not owe the press or the fans a a power play presentation with an outline as to what the details of the plan for the club are. Okay? That's not something that, of course, there's a plan. There's been a plan. I mean, all franchises are trying to win a Stanley Cup. There are franchises that started out in October this season who knew that their chances at being in the playoffs were pretty low. So, no, we are definitely not looking at a rebuild in Winnipeg, and nor should it even be considered in any, actual, real, serious fashion. We do have our core guys signed. They are, a lot of them over 30. But were you not listening to Mark Scheifele? Point blank. He knows himself. He knows his body. He knows his game. Point blank. It's just like he's still improving a little. He feels good about his game. That's good news. Look who Perfetti gets to learn from every day. That's huge. And other people get to learn things from Jonathan freaking Toews, people. Right? Quit disrespecting. You understand? If you're a fan, it doesn't have anything to do with mediocrity. And some of you might be some sad sacks who need some help outside the, it just, you're putting it into the hockey and it may not be where it belongs. Well, yes, I do have college degrees and, real life experience, probably more than most to make that statement. Okay? None of the guys who play for the Winnipeg Jets or the Moose are going to play to lose. And so you can take that and shove it up your ass. Okay? That's stupid. It's not smart hockey. It's wrong. It goes against NHL policies and actual real right laws in the US and Canada. Okay? They've stuck together. They're standing their ground. Just because you guys are like, well, why is he standing pat? And it's just like, what the fuck is the matter with you people? Do you understand? Like, he told Mike McIntyre before he did the half year, the half season thing, he's always looking. But he's not lying to you. We do have secondary scoring, and this year some of it's coming from Stanimal, right? Or not, I think it would be the hockey smart decision and good for the future of the franchise to right get Stanimal signed because he was developed by the Winnipeg Jets and they put time and effort and all that. You understand? He understands the vision. He understands the goal. He understands. Plus, he's got ridiculous bomber shots. I mean, if he dings up some of the other teams, defense better, right? Even if the puck doesn't go into the net, right? It probably still does something that's helpful and could result in a rebound. So if guys collapse in, like 80 something, 90-mile-an-hour shots. And some of the defensemen, of course, Josh Morrissey. I mean, and that's normal for Josh. He's right. He does get in on us. He does shoot. He does score. He does do that. But occasionally, here and there, right? I mean, Shen scored one. I don't know. Pionk scored one. I don't know. Right? Even Sammy was trying. Right? But yes, Taser is getting points now. Like, the eye test is not the only test. And the good thing for the Winnipeg Jets and Jonathan Toews is he can enjoy it. He can enjoy playing a good bit more because he's not a captain and because he doesn't have those and because he loves to play. So I mean that kind of like loosens the grip on the stick and it also helps the rest of his line. Okay. But look who Perfetti gets to learn from on a daily basis. Other players too, but specifically Perfetti. Over there, Blackhawks territory, I know why Jonathan Toews is legendary to them. Because I know the state of affairs of the Blackhawks when Jonathan Toews got there. Okay? Of course, maybe ignored. But, I can walk away from this saying, I put it all out there and I'm speaking honestly, and I do not see a huge issue with development with the Moose or the Jets. And there's no real evidence of that. There's actually evidence of the opposite. Okay? Hellebuck, Scheifele, Lowry. Perfetti is definitely still working, but, he gets to learn from Jonathan Toews, people. And I'm sure that, they can help each other elevate games. And, Velarde seems to be like, okay, second line it is, we're good to go. Iafallo can pick up. You understand? Like, and if Iafallo has a little bit of a not so great game, but 6 other guys are elevating. You understand? Because they're on a team. And it comes across to me that a lot of people, even some press, you have not been all team all the time in your life somehow. And you do not understand the game. It is a team, always. Okay? There are times like a guy might be tired, maybe had trouble sleeping, whatever the hell it is, a little banged up, injuries. Yes, I understand. Some people are like, why are they playing injured? Because this is the National Hockey League. And I need you guys to understand the National Hockey League. Winnipeg Jets fans. I know some of you are newer fans. And so I'm not giving anybody shit. I'm telling you straight out. I'm putting it in as plain, clear English as I possibly can. Okay, they developed Sanimal. To be honest with you, right? I, you know, the hockey smart decision would be to sign Stanimal and yet put him on as part of the core. Okay, we have guys who are developing. Lambeau, Ford, right? There are guys who are developing from the Moose. But if we don't have to put them in high pressure situations right now, then we don't. That is actually a good thing. We have two very tolerant, patient goaltenders. And now the lines are starting to roll. We're starting to more consistently roll our lines. But the Winnipeg Jets are not going to listen to you. I can just guarantee this. I don't even need to speak to them to know this. There's not a single guy who plays for the Winnipeg Jets. Winnipeg Sports Talk. Well, oh, that was late. Okay. Anyway, yeah. Several Days always looking. Okay, just know that the GM and upper decks are always looking. All the time. Like sometimes there's a freeze. It doesn't mean they still can't look. Okay, conversations can still happen, but they just can't officially right until the freeze is over. And that's because it's an Olympic year, which does make things different. It makes this kind of NHL season a bit different from all the rest. Okay? I mean, look who they're learning from, right? Lowry has somebody who's simpatico and understands because Jonathan Toews has been, right, a captain. So you can understand. So I completely disagree with any of you who are, oh, we don't want the mushy middle. Who gives a shit? Okay, we're in the now, right now. And these are the guys who are Winnipeg Jets. And many of you are saying, we don't want you. And as far as I'm concerned, fuck off. This is our team. These are the guys who get dressed every day. These are the ones who go out and do it. We should cheer for the team that goes on ice every single night and day and whatever else. Okay? Perfetti's still developing. All right? Jonathan Tate can teach some of these guys some things because he's got the full resume experience. And there are other guys who can help each other. Okay? They're not too old. You guys are just ageists. Maybe you're not racist, but you're ageist. And it's false. And I had someone say, I said there's a lot of players who are 30 and over in the National Hockey League. And, one of the commenters chatter said, oh, well, you can stick to that. I'm like, yeah, truth. I will stick to the truth. Yes, I will. Absolutely. But I've also been through some shit with other franchises. Like, I grew up a Caps fan, and 2 decades. 2 decades. And we couldn't attract star players. And it wasn't until like the mid 2000s were we actually able to start attracting star players. And was the game actually starting to catch on. Okay. As a Caps fan, at one point, I'm a Jets fan. Okay. You can't support that franchise anymore for a very specific reason. But at the time, Caps fan, come what may of it, call me stubborn. I don't give a shit. Just a Caps fan at that point. In the year 2005 and 2006 season, yeah, I was one of those Caps fans that we had to watch the Washington Capitals on public access television. The club or someone related to the club had to pay to put the Washington Capitals games, that's a pro fucking sport, people, ice hockey, on pay-per-view. I mean, I'm not pay-per-view, on public access TV. So just like the Blackhawks, the Caps went through a period of change, right? And now, hockey's back. I have no issue with, the way the Upper Deck has been building this team. And there's not a single player who's, one-way contract, all Winnipeg Jets NHL style, who wants to lose a game because some assholes online, and they better not work for the fucking club. I mean, there's not much I can do about the press, but all right, if I were the Upper Decks, I would scour the entire organization and make sure not a single motherfucker one of them it is not a hockey strategy. You are wrong. You are suggesting something illegal, and you are disrespecting the players who play on NHL ice for you day in and day out. When your team is down, cheer them on louder. Because it actually works. Plenty of NHL players are 30 and over. They bring a veteran presence. They don't get rattled as much. Like I said, there are teams who started out in October who really, kind of knew it'll be unlikely we make the playoffs. There are teams over the last 15 years in the National Hockey League who one year have made the playoffs, and then the next year have not made the playoffs, and then the next year make the playoffs. Welcome to the year 2026. This is the actual Pro Elite League. You understand? Pro Elite League. Appreciate your pro hockey, Winnipeg. Because there are people who know what it's like without it. Not a single dude in that locker room is going to try to play to lose so you can fucking forget that and stop talking about it all the time online, because it's just not going to fucking happen. You're wasting your time and energy. They're going to play to win. And I don't agree with some of the press to say that the last Leafs game was eerily similar. No, not really. No, it wasn't. Because, the one before that they weren't. Okay? We have our lines together more. We now are able to start rolling those lines. Maybe not as consistently as some of you might like, but I also want to mention to all of you, and you people get paid. Which is why I'm so pissed off at God. I should get paid. Because I know way better. Okay. The lines weren't rolling. In that third period, yes, they were having difficulty, trying to roll the offensive lines. That's true. But we were already improved to the point where we were getting much more scoring from different locales, not just Morrissey, not just the first line, second line. Right, I'm cheering on the fourth line, and I'm still cheering on Nyquist to get a Hattie. I know why Nyquist was chosen. The one thing about Nyquist, like as I'm looking from a goalie perspective about Nyquist, is one, he knows how to kind of he does not feel pressure the same. He just doesn't really, right? But he knows how to make time and space to get there if he needs to. And he's totally fucking fearless when it comes to, getting in the net, he's fearless. For all of you who claim to be experts and you get paid and you write about it and you talk about it, good for fucking you. But a lot of you are wrong, and you are missing the perspective that the other team fucking factors too, assholes. A lot of you need to sit down and be quiet and just take in what I'm saying, because your lives will improve greatly. Okay? Other teams fucking factor. A lot of you approaching it like, oh, you gotta keep the lead, and I'm like they don't fucking know that. Of course they fucking know that. Do you think they're fucking stupid? Would you like to continue to disrespect your national fucking hockey league team that you lost? Other teams fucking factor. Other teams control the puck sometimes. Other teams want to shut you down. Other teams want to win. And you're all acting like they have total control of everything all the time. You are unrealistic, and many of you are pressed, and you get fucking paid. I know way better. So yes, tank commander, fuck you. What the fucking Winnipeg Jets should do, right? Oh, we should all band together, kind of like fucking Voltron, and turn into a tank and just fucking run them over. Playoffs or not. I don't care if you don't understand the kind of hockey they're fucking playing. I don't care if it's not fucking exciting enough for you. Understand the fucking sport. Understand the National Hockey League. Other teams do know how to shut us down sometimes. Mr. Chevadeoff has been nothing but honest with you. Yes, we do need to make a roster spot. We can't just rely on the guys going on IR. We're at that point. And it's not like you're all telling them shit they don't already know. You disrespectful, ignorant people, and you get paid. You're damn right I'm not talking to God. I'm so fucking pissed off about that. It's insane. Have some respect for pro athletes in your own fucking backyard. Go Jets, go.